Hello, and thank you for clicking on another one of my videos. I am Screen Scene Guru, and tonight I'm coming at you with a full series review. This is on Alien Files Reopened. This is on, I primarily watch it on Discovery Plus, but you can also check this out on HBO Max, Pluto, and Prime Video. Um, this is a full-on Alien Disclosure series. This came out right at the tail end of 2024 in December. So not a lot of people, I think, checked this out just before the new year. But I'm just now catching up on finishing it off. So without further ado, let me go on to a few of the episode titles. So starting off, we've got episode 1, which is titled Summer of Saucers. I've got a little bit of a notepad with the notes jotted down. But going into the first episode, they discuss a little bit of a bio here. 1952, a radar picked up UFOs flying over Washington, D.C. for several days, overall totaling in about 2 to 3 weeks. This was in the 50s, right about at the tail end of World War II. So it's fascinating to go into that. Similar to the UAP sightings and the drone sightings over our coastal cities and across the globe. So they were kind of realizing the significance of that. Going on into episode 2, we've got the Tall Whites. Now, this is first person military whistleblowers coming forward to tell their tales in episodes about encountering extraterrestrial intelligences, encountering their craft, their technology, and also working with them on Air Force bases. So, going on to a little bit of episode 2, it tells in 1964, James Hall, stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, encountered a race he called the Tall Whites, working with the U.S. military, housing spaceships in hangars. So he got to witness them working on apparently a ship that had crashed, one of their vehicles that they were trying to reverse engineer back in the 1960s. So that was very interesting to see. Um, so we're getting to see a little bit more of the progression of time, what they were doing with the exotic technology, how far they got with certain things, where they went in different clandestine offshoot projects. That was very cool to see. Um, Going on to episode 3, we've got the Billy Meyer. These were his encounters, but also his claims. He was known as a prophet. He started an organization. He traveled around the world, met with government officials. This was someone from, I believe it was Sweden. Um, and he had connections to high government officials since he was a young man in the 40s, 1940s. And he traveled all around the globe until he passed in the 1970s. But he had a movement going on following him. He had contacted what he called, uh, let's see, the Pleiadians, um, and he was being given information about future events, which is very interesting to see. I know a lot of people in the ufology circles have claimed to be given future event knowledge by ETs, by extraterrestrials. So that was something to look into, and a very interesting claims he made. He predicted certain technological advancements right before they happened. And a lot of this show also goes into sort of debunking some of these claims. So they try to rebuttal them with scientific fact, and they try to go into how we haven't proven a lot of these things. Some of them are still theory, but a lot of them are now being discovered as actual truth. But going on to episode 4, we've got Paul Benowitz, 1978, claims to have messages from UFOs and from extraterrestrial craft. This also was going into episode 4. We got to see Doty showed up, and for those of you that know, he's a government agent. He was in the misinformation campaign. He did, in fact, mislead Paul Benowitz, unfortunately leading to his death. He was chasing UFOs out in the desert. They were having him, lights were being seen at his house, but a lot of people have claimed that that was the government actually manipulating him, uh, using his mental illness against him, tricking him. So that was really disheartening to hear. A lot of these cases, a lot of us should know. They've been out in the public for a few years, but for those of us that are new to the topic, a lot of these cases are going over several stories. Uh, but moving on into episode 5, we've got Rendlesham Forest, which was in the UK. In 1980, UFO was detected near a critical NATO base, where personnel have claimed to have seen a shiny metallic object, and one of them was close enough to get hands on the actual craft. And he described seeing symbols, hieroglyphic symbols, and then he was actually discharged from the armed services over there in the UK, and he was trying to fight to get his medical records released because he's now disabled. He is not able to work, and he has to rely on medical funds from his government to survive. And he fought for a long time to get his medical records unclassified because for a while they were not able to be seen by any kind of means. They were classified, locked up. They have since been declassified and they are public record. So that's very good. He's getting his benefits now. But moving on from there, we've got episode 6, aerial sightings. In 1994, 62 pupils at an aerial school in Zimbabwe saw a silver craft send and claim beings talk to them telepathically. So yeah, a lot of these stories, we've heard of them coming down in full schoolyards, and communing with not only the kids there, they commune with the teachers, the adults there in the communities. They all have claimed to have seen these amazing event, and yet they've been pressured by their government or their local law enforcement to be silent about it. They were actually one of the astounding claims is that the principal of one of these schools was threatened with his career. They threatened to out him as being a drunk, even though there's no evidence of him drinking on the job. They threatened his to take away his job. So he stayed quiet for years, and waited for the kids to get older. The kids are now adults, and they have come together again years later and still claim that the story is true. The story happened. Um, Moving on to episode 7, we've got the Belgian UFO wave. So this also goes into not only UFOs here historically, but also across the globe, which I really found was interesting. We got to see a little bit of Jacques Vallée investigations, which he's a big time French UFO investigator. He's probably one of the biggest known in the world. He's worked with Spielberg on such films as Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So many of you might know him from that. But episode 7 discussed triangle-shaped craft seen by thousands of people starting around 1987. Um, so right at the tail end of the 80s, they were seeing these craft show up. There's even a case of them using lights, and almost seeming to shoot at the city with lightning, almost causing fires. There has been claims of them causing electrical fires, almost as if the power grid was too much for the ships, or there was a misfire of some sort. But people have claimed to have been harassed by these saucers for years in other countries. So interesting facts behind that. Cool things to get into there. Going into the last episode, I just want to go into negative energy, and this is a more modern tale about Lieutenant Ryan Graves, pilot for U.S. Air Force. Talks about his stories. Now, this was back in, I believe, 2012 and 2015 are his accounts, and he discusses engaging with multiple UFOs on multiple occasions. Now, he talks about how he saw hundreds of these ships throughout the course of several years on Air Force bases, but also while doing drills out, during active service overseas, in deployment. He saw these erratic behaviors every day. It was a common occurrence, and he's since testified in Congress about it. You can go online and see all of the clips of the news footage from the two hearings that there have been. But yeah, it looks like those were the 8 episodes. But specifically, I want to go over one real quick note: the last episode title, "Negative Energies," and how they're trying to spin this to where they seem hostile. I know there's a big expert in this, Stephen Greer. He's been focusing on this since about the Clinton administration of the 90s, so better part of almost 30 years. And he's described that these things have not been hostile. They are, in fact, here to help us. Um, I don't want to say I want to put all my eggs in one basket for him, but it seems like a lot of what he's been saying has been accurate. He has come forward before trying to disclose this information to Congress. For those of you that have seen the 90s press hearing with the United Press Club, he brought over 100 whistleblowers forward in 1992, I believe, and 94, 95, somewhere in that timeline. Brought well over 100 whistleblowers forward from not only the US, from the UK, Canada, and abroad, pilots, and he got them to testify in front of Congress, and they sat on their hearing. They didn't do anything about it. We had to wait until it came back in the media, pop culture, to get another hearing. Just most recently with the news of the 2017 article from the New York Times and other, the historical wave of sightings. Now they can't deny all that is happening. But it's very fascinating to see. Let me know, what are your thoughts on the topic? Do you guys think that these things are real? Do you think this is a big hoax from the government? Make sure to like and subscribe for future videos. I'm probably going to make a few more videos on this topic, so make sure to keep an eye out. But yeah, thank you for watching. Stay tuned on my Instagram at Screen Guru for more content coming down the line. But have a good one and stay safe. Watch out for the saucers flying overhead.